Slovenia. A tiny country tucked away in southeastern Europe, often overlooked by many travellers due to its neighbouring countries of Italy, Austria, Croatia and Hungary. However, this is the country you need to visit. This is Europe's hidden gem. This is Slovenia. What's going on, guys? My name is Aaron and I recently spent 3 weeks travelling the amazing country of Slovenia, and in today's video I'm going to share with you guys how I managed to do so. In this video, I'm going to share with you the perfect route of traveling Slovenia and all the must-see destinations, and trust me, there are a lot of them. But first, let's talk about how you can actually get to Slovenia. Now, with Slovenia only having one international airport that is 26 kilometers outside of the capital city, Ljubljana, with not too many frequent flights coming or going, at a first glance it can be seen as quite tricky to actually reach the country itself, but it just takes a little bit of planning and preparation, and there are a couple of options that I'll go through right now for you guys to help you reach Slovenia. Now, the first option is in an ideal perfect world where if your closest airport actually has direct flights to Ljubljana, then you're all sorted. But unless you live in London, Brussels or Paris, then the likelihood is you've not got one of them options. But if you do live in them cities, good for you, you can fly direct to Ljubljana. So if you still want to reach Slovenia by plane, but you don't live in one of them 3 cities, then you still have 2 options to go for. And the first one is to simply get to one of them cities, whether it be by train or whether you fly to Brussels and then fly again to Slovenia. That can still work out quite cheap. Or you have another option of flying to one of the nearby airports in maybe a bordering country and then catching a bus or a train. And there's 3 really good options which I'll go through right now. I personally flew from Liverpool to Venice, which was a 2-hour flight, and then caught a bus directly from the airport in Venice to Ljubljana, which took around 2.5–3 hours. And there is also a train that you can take from Venice to Ljubljana, which is obviously a much faster option, but it is more costly. So if you are backpacking, do go with the Flixbus. As you guys know, I do love a good Flixbus. And then of course, flying into Croatia, you can fly into Pula, which is a coastal resort in Croatia, and then catch a Flixbus from there. Or if you have the option to fly into Zagreb, the capital of Croatia, then you can also catch a bus or a train from there, which is probably the fastest option out of the Croatian ones, and you can literally reach Ljubljana in a matter of probably around 2 hours. And of course, if you're already in Europe traveling around, then you can catch one of the many regular trains or buses into Ljubljana, the capital city, and Flixbus and Interrail is probably your best option. So just take a look at whichever city you're in Europe, and there will more than likely be a way of getting to Ljubljana. Now, I'm going to be honest, that does seem like quite a lot of hassle at first glance to just arrive into the country, but from the second you cross the border, you'll realize it was 100% the right decision. So now you've arrived in Slovenia, let's kick things off with the capital city of Ljubljana. Despite it being the 10th smallest capital city in Europe with a population of just 280,000 people, it still has a lot of exploring for you to do that I recommend doing over 2 to 3 days. Firstly, you have to walk up to the top of the castle, and then strangely do it again at midnight. I know that sounds very, very bizarre, but you will quickly realize that you are not the only ones doing it, and you get some amazing midnight views over the city. You have to check out the Dragon Bridge along with every other bridge in Ljubljana. That is what it's known for, the bridges over the river through the city centre. Some of them are quite spectacular, and if you happen to be there on a nice day, pull up a sun lounger, there are a lot of them along that riverfront, and just relax for a couple of hours. The next thing to do is visit the Ljubljana skyscraper, and if you type that into Google Maps, it will literally take you straight to it. And if not, it's called Nebotičnik in Slovenian, and it is just an amazing view of the city. You're right by the castle as well, so you get an excellent view of that, and it's basically got a cafe on the top floor, so you can obviously have a nice drink and just watch the sunset, sunrise, whatever you feel like doing. Just check it out, it's an incredible view, and I actually only learned that on probably my 3rd or 4th time in Ljubljana, so I'm giving you a head start by letting you know before you even arrive. You also have to check out the incredibly spectacular abandoned military barracks, where basically the military barracks in Ljubljana, where they used to be based, is now completely abandoned and has graffiti all over it with some incredible artwork. And then literally right in the same location, I highly recommend you stay in a prison, which sounds incredibly strange, but trust me, it's incredible. It's actually a former prison now converted into a hostel, which will be on screen, and you can literally take a pic of the rooms that you stay in with a prison theme, but also incredible facilities. So it's a very, very unique experience that you probably won't find in many other places in the world, so you definitely have to take that opportunity. And then, as there are so many places to eat in Ljubljana, I do have one very, very good recommendation, which is Tokyo Picnic. It's right on the waterfront and does some amazing Asian food, so you definitely have to go and check that out if you do like that type of food. And then next up, I recommend you go back towards the train station where the bus station in Ljubljana also is, and catch a bus directly to the town centre of Bled for just €7. You can also get the train from there, but it does drop you 4.5 kilometers outside of Bled centre at Lesgate Bled train station. You can then obviously get a taxi or a bus into the centre of Bled, but you might as well just get the bus because it does literally drop you off right in the heart of Bled. And honestly, the second you arrive in this amazing town, you will realise exactly why Bled is so raved about. But first, I have one huge recommendation, and that is to stay at the Castle Hostel 1004. This is by far my favourite hostel I've ever stayed in anywhere in the world during any trip, and that is largely due to the amazing staff that are Patrick and Nisha, the incredible location, and the fact it literally just feels like a home away from home. It's one of the most homely hostels I've ever stayed in. Now, once you've found the perfect hostel, there's a couple of things that I recommend you do over the next 2 to 3 days to make it a perfect itinerary. Firstly, try and catch an amazing sunrise at Mala Osujanika, which is the viewpoint that overlooks the lake and the town centre. Now, thankfully, the hostel that I mentioned does actually run tours during the summer where they will take you, then you'll hike up and they'll bring you back. Or obviously you can do it on your own at any time during the day, but that is the #1 thing you have to do in Bled. I also highly recommend going up to the Bled Castle for another unique perspective and an incredible viewpoint. Now, it's usually €11 to get in, but if you go after 8 PM during the summer, there's no one on the ticket booth and they leave the gates open, so you can just walk straight through. That's what I done this summer, and it was an incredible experience. You can also hire a boat to row out to the island in the middle of the lake, and it's usually 15 to €20 for 2 people, and that's for an hour, and then any additional hour is usually €10 per hour. But a little tip on that, if you actually spend an hour and 59 minutes, like we did on the dot somehow, it's still only 15 to €20. They don't actually charge you unless you hit the 2-hour mark and 3-hour mark and so on. And the final highlight in Bled for me is a trip to the Vintgar Gorge. It is a 1.6 kilometer long gorge with an incredible waterfall at the end. But I do have one more pro tip that not many people know about that I'm going to share with you guys right now. If you actually enter the gorge from the back entrance, there is no longer a ticket booth there, so you can literally just walk straight in for free, and then you walk from back to front, and then when you get to the start of the gorge, there is a ticket stand, but there's actually no barriers to go out where they check your tickets, so you can just walk straight out of the entrance, which is great if you want to save some euros, if again you are a backpacker on a budget. And the location for that will be on screen. You can actually catch a bus from Bled to a place called Podhom, which is about 5 minutes on the bus, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it is actually a 4-kilometer walk from Bled to the back entrance of the gorge. Now, before we carry on past Bled, I want to let you know about my Slovenia travel guide PDF that is now available on my brand new website. Whether you have some unanswered questions or you just want to know about Slovenia in more detail, then the travel guide is perfect for you. The guide covers literally everything I wanted to know personally before I traveled Slovenia, from visas, vaccines you need, where to visit, when to visit, budgeting, some typical prices, and so much more for just $3.99. And as I said, it is on my website right now. The link will be down below in the description, and it is in a PDF format which is optimized for mobile use. So that's the best part. You can literally have it with you on your phone whilst you're traveling to refer back to. It's aaronjarvistravel.com. And as I said, the link will be down below in the description. Now, whilst there are a lot more things to do in Bled, you can fit them in the 3 days that you have there, along with the main activities I mentioned. And you now have a decision to make, whether you want to base yourself in Bled and explore the nearby areas or just move on completely. I personally stayed in Bled for a week and then explored the nearby area of Bohinj. Lake Bohinj is 27 kilometers away from Bled and very accessible via bus. It's a much larger lake, but significantly less tourists actually explore there, and there's a couple of key highlights that you should check out. Firstly, check out the Vogel cable car that takes you up to the Vogel ski resort in literally about 4 minutes. you are at the top. And it's a very, very unique experience because on the day we went, it was around 15 degrees, very nice, very dry day on the floor in Bohinj. And then literally 4 minutes later, we were surrounded by snow and we just got to explore an abandoned ski resort at that time. And I certainly was not dressed for the occasion. You can also check out some of the impressive hiking trails that lead to some of the most impressive waterfalls in the country, including Slapsavika and Vintgar Gorge. Be prepared for long hikes to reach both of them though. And if you're feeling incredibly adventurous, then try and tackle the Valley of Seven Lakes hike that starts just north of Bohinj and takes 10 hours to complete, as it is a 25-kilometer hike through Triglav and the Julian Alps, which passes 7 incredibly spectacular lakes. You can actually find accommodation in Bohinj, but as Bled is more developed for tourism, it's easier to stay there and catch a 30-minute bus ride to Bohinj for just €3.40. Now, once you've finished your time in Bled and Bohinj, it's time to make the long journey to the northwestern town of Bovec, right near the Italian border. Now, of course, the easiest way to get there would be driving, but we didn't have that option available to us, so we took the public transport, which can be tricky, but we did get there eventually. Firstly, you have to get to Bled Jezero train station, where you'll catch a train to Mosna Sochi, but the train station in Bled is not the one that you would have arrived at. It's actually on the far side of the lake, so it does take a bit of time to get there. Once you arrive in Mosna Sochi, you will then catch a minivan, which will take you to a town called Tomlin, and from there you will catch a final bus to Bovec. It will take around 3 hours travel time in total, but it will only cost €10 at the most. Once you reach Bovec, you will realise that there aren't many tourists about, and it is a very unique town, but it does give you the freedom to explore. I personally only spent 24 hours there due to time constraints, but I do think 2 to 3 days would definitely be ideal. I recommend you stay at the Socha Rocks hostel, which is actually a partner hostel with the one in Bled, and they can arrange all kinds of activities for you directly at their reception. The activities range from skydiving, water rafting, canyoneering, and obviously the one we went for, ziplining. I also recommend you check out the mind-blowing Socha Valley River, along with yet another impressive waterfall, Slap Verge. Once you're done exploring Bovec and had your fix of adrenaline rushing activities, hop on a bus direct back to Ljubljana, the capital city, which will take around 5 to 6 hours, and soak up the city for one more night before heading on with your travels by the international train connections that they have in Ljubljana. Obviously, you can use a Flixbus as well, or head home via a similar method that you arrived with. Now, there's actually a few places in Slovenia I have yet to visit, so I cannot comment on, but if you want to add them to your itinerary, by all means, go ahead. They are Maribor, Piran, Lake Jasna, and the Postojna Caves. And just like that, you have completed 2 weeks in the stunning country of Slovenia. And 2 weeks probably sounds like a long time to explore a small country, but trust me, even that won't be enough. And the second you leave, you will instantly want to go back.